What is going on, everybody? I am out in the open with my cats. Why cats? Why my cats? Well, for one, cats, I don't know. I mean, people like cats. At least a lot of people seem to like cats. There are cat and dog people, but don't cats do well on the internet, right? Like, you know, TikTok, YouTube, Snapchat, Instagram, all the different things, cats, animals, right? So by me putting my cats in a video, it's guaranteed to get more views, right? That's seems like a solid logic to me. Solid logic to me. I have two cats. First cat's name is Clarice. She is the one that came first. Hello, Clarice. Have the lamb stopped screaming? You know what? Let's put a little bit of effort into that. Okay, let's prepare. Whatever the hell that is. Clarice, have the lamb stopped screaming? Do you hear your daddy in the lambs? Out with the lambs? I can't remember the quote from the film by Jonathan Demme. Should probably watch it again. Okay. Look, there she is. Isn't she just a ray of sunshine and joy? Clarice came into my life in, I believe, 2017. So the year's 2026. So how many years is that? Mental math work for me. Put the answer on screen there, if that works. Clarice came into my life in 2017. I was living in a condo at the time, and at that time when she came into my life, or I should say shortly before, my girlfriend at the time broke up with me. I suppose I was in a place where I was just, feeling lonely and or just wanting some company, whatever. So I needed some company. So I actually went about adopting Clarice. I went to a local animal shelter that actually specializes in cats, or I shouldn't say they specialize in cats, but they're an all cat shelter. They don't have other animals. But anyways, I looked around there. I want to say that I don't think I went back like 3 or 4 times to make a decision. I think I actually saw her in my first visit when I was there. There was a couple of other cats that had caught my eye, but there was just something about Clarice that really, I don't know, just stood out to me at the time. Like I could tell that she maybe would get overlooked compared to some of the other more extroverted cats, if you will. I mean, animals in general are like people. There are ones that have higher energy, lower energy, etc. But Clarice just had this really timid, sweet way about her, and I just felt like she was really kind of quiet and shy, and just really sweet. I mean, like, she truly was very, very little when I got her. I'm trying to think actually how old she was when I did get her. She was quite young. I don't think she was even a year old yet. She definitely wasn't in weeks old kitten stage, but she was maybe barely a year old or somewhere around that time frame. I actually think I have the first photo that we took together when I adopted her, so I'll try to throw that up here in the video. Clarice, a little bit about her from what the adoption agency told me. She was a rescue cat originally. She was found with, I think she had a sibling at the time, and I'm not sure, honestly, if the sibling had already been adopted, because I don't recall seeing them at the shelter with Clarice. Yeah, she was found in a dumpster, believe it or not, a dumpster behind the retail store Michael's. When I heard that, I was like, you have to have a real special set of problems, or, I don't know. I can't imagine somebody doing that, like taking an animal and just tossing it like it's garbage into a store's dumpster. I just, the image was hard to get out of my head. I was like, oh my God, that's awful. It's terrible. So she was a dumpster kitty. Not sure really who found her, but I'm glad, obviously I thank God that that someone did find her and get her to come. And maybe that's where some of her timid, shy nature comes from, is from being disregarded as trash from an early age in her life. She has all her claws, by the way. Actually, both my cats do. That is actually one thing I remember the adoption agency was very specific with me on, is they made me sign a piece of paper saying that I would not declaw her, because they gave me some literature and explained to me essentially how, in their words, if you declaw or take out the the nails of a cat, it's essentially like chopping off their fingernails or like the tips of their fingers for like a human equivalent. And I was like, yeah, that doesn't seem very nice, very good. I do admit the cat that was in my life earlier, which I will touch on in this video, they were declawed. So I didn't really think of anything of it at the time in my life when I had that cat because I was just very young. But I would say myself right now, I'm not for taking a cat's claws out, especially after hearing that. I just don't think it's right. Does it make things a little more pain in the ass when it comes to just maintaining furniture and things like that? Yeah, sure. I can't pretend like Clarice never is bad with that. Like sometimes she will try to, paw at different furniture. She tries to eat plants, but that's a different story. But in any case, they have their claws, so you can think what you will about that. She and I bonded, I think, relatively quickly. She really likes to watch movies with me. really still to this day likes to watch movies with me. She can definitely hide and keep to herself quite a bit, but virtually any time I have a movie on, she is gonna come and she's gonna be by my side and she will watch and/or sleep on my side while I watch movies, which is very sweet. I mean, I think it's great that she does that. She also really likes fish. Unsurprisingly, I guess. Most cats, I feel like that's a cliche with them, is that they like fish. But one of the earliest memories that I have with Clarice is I had a television. You can't actually see it, but that's the one that's right over here to my left. And I think I put just some footage of fish, like in the ocean, on there. And she was just mesmerized by it. Like she just kept staring at the fish. She would try to swat at them. And still to this day, if I put fish on a screen, she's basically gonna be frozen and try to play with the fish and or stare at them. So I think it's quite sweet that she does that. Her meow is interesting. She does not have like a typical cat meow, like something like that. Hers is very squeaky, or it's very like almost like broken, almost like she lost her voice from yelling at somebody too much. So like when she does it, it's like that's the most you're gonna hear me try to do cat meows on here. I don't want to make this video. I don't want to make this video too weird talking about that. Yeah, no, she has a sweet meow. If you say her name to her, she probably will do that. So I find that interesting. For years, it was just us, just her and I. Actually, I shouldn't say for years. I mean, I got her in 2017, and then my wife, Isola, came into my life in 2019. So then she became the second lady in my life. But Clarice, you'll always be the first. But yeah, for a couple years at least, it was just Clarice and I, and I really appreciated that. And that's something I can actually just say about pets in general, regardless of cats, is I think they're absolutely great for company. There's something beautiful about pets in that there's no judgment. I'm not saying it's like a cat's like a dog where like they're always happy to see you, but they need you and you need them, and there's a mutual benefit for it. For them, you get to clean their poop, clean up their poop and litter and feed them and give them water and all that good stuff, but you also give them a nice home to stay in, place to be warm, and they, usually like to snuggle. I think having her at that time in my life was really good because, like I said, I had my girlfriend had broken up with me, or another way of putting that is dumped me, and so I needed a nice, friendly presence, and so Clarice became that. And I'm happy to say that she is still in my life and still here and is still a great cat. Clarice, she's a great cat, gets along well with the other cat that I'm going to talk about here in a little bit, known as KP. Now it's time to move on to cat number 2, known as KP, which stands for Kitty on the Path. KP, look at the people. This is KP, Kitty on the Path. Yeah, that's right, buddy. Now he actually, if I keep him here, which you probably can't, I don't know if you can see right here, he actually probably will stay in my lap. The joke is with him and Clarice that KP is the cat that, so to speak, works, and Clarice is the cat that my wife jokes, and I joke too and say that she's broken because she'll cuddle with you when she wants to cuddle with you, basically. But KP is much more snuggly cat, very much likes pets, purrs. He is an amazing cat, honestly. Sorry, there's a little strand of hair floating around there. A lot to talk about with KP. It's a good story with him. So, hey buddy. Sorry, he's being cute right now. I don't know if you can even see this in the frame, if it's too much there, but he likes his chin rubbed. KP was not planned for us like having him. I sound like a parent when I'm saying that. We didn't plan on it. He was an accident. That's not really the case, but KP actually is a true rescue cat. Like my wife and I literally rescued him. And so I'll explain the story. My wife and I at the time, we were doing a lot of bicycling, and there was a path that was a few miles away from our house, and we would like to go on this path quite a bit. So if you're familiar with Cedar Rapids or you happen to live here, there's a bike path that's down over by the Czech Village, and you go through it, and it takes you to a small town, I believe it's Ely, and we would like to go through this bike trail and path lot because it's very pretty, very scenic. If you're ever around there, you give a crap about biking, cycling, whatever, go ahead and go on that path. You will not be mistaken, or you won't be unhappy with it. You know what I'm trying to say. So my wife and I were riding our bikes along on the path. We've been on that path several different times, and on one of these passes that we're going on the path, we saw this cat. It turned out to be KP, and he stood out right away because just like he didn't look like a typical stray cat. Like he actually is I don't know what his breed is exactly, but he's a longer haired cat, and he's a big boy. You know, he's fairly larger for a cat. And so he stood out right away, and we saw him on the path. I think there was a person, like another cyclist, that had pulled their bike over, and they were kind of like petting the cat. And so we just noticed it, and we're just like, oh, this is really interesting. Like strays like this aren't typically like usually super friendly like that going up to people. And my wife immediately took an interest and a liking to him because he actually really resembles a cat that she used to have in Brazil. And this cat, unfortunately, is no longer with us, but it was essentially like my wife's like childhood cat. Like she grew up with this cat. This cat had been in her life for years, very friendly, and my wife was just, really reminded, KP really reminded her of this cat in a lot of ways. And so I think like that particular day, I think we went home and we didn't really give it any thought of like, oh, like we should try to get him. I just think we thought that was a really cute cat, and maybe we'll see it again. And then we went, back to that trail a few more times, and we kept seeing him. And then I still remember to this day, my wife gave me what I call the look of I want something. She didn't say anything, she didn't have to, but like she gave me this look of like I really want this cat. I knew she was wanting it, to try to get it. I had never really tried to, and since I've never tried to actually like take a cat like from where it's at. Like I've never tried to actually rescue an animal directly myself, so I had no idea like if this is a good idea, if this is a horrible idea. I'm not really sure, but I know what I did was when we had the ride and she gave me this look, before we got home, like mid-ride, like I think we had pulled over and like we discussed it, and I just said, I was like, hey, look, like this is, it's a decision. It's a decision. It's a responsibility to try to get a cat. I'm not sure, how this is all gonna work, but let's just not talk about it like the rest of the ride, and we'll ride back. And if we're still feeling like, yeah, we want the cat or sleep on it, whatever, then we'll try to go back and get it. And of course, like, honestly, like probably not even before I was back from this ride, like I knew, I'm like, we're gonna try to get this cat. We're gonna try to do it. And my wife definitely, she didn't falter. She didn't change her mind. She wanted the cat. It was decided we're gonna go ahead and try to get KP. And then the adventure began of trying to learn more about him and also rescue him. I say learn more about him because I think we were both aware enough that it's possible that maybe this cat belongs to somebody. Maybe he's like an indoor-outdoor cat. Maybe he lives around the neighborhood. Oh, and holy crap, I'm gonna have to take a lint brush to me. It's one thing about KP, I love him, but he is quite hairy. We went back to the path the bike path that he was at, or that we spotted him at, to try to see if maybe we could ask around and learn about him, because we just really didn't want to like accidentally take somebody's cat. That would be embarrassing and not appropriate, and so on and so forth. So there's some residential houses near this bike path where he was spotted at, and so I think that day that we started asking questions, there was actually just a lot of people out on the trail, and some of those people actually lived in that neighborhood. So started asking about the cat, and then this one lady, she actually said, she's like, oh yeah, she's like, that's the kitty on the path. That's Kitty on the path, and she kept calling him Kitty on the path, and that was where the origin of his name came from. Is this lady that just kept calling him Kitty on the path. And I didn't know that was going to be his name at the time, but we were just like, oh, that's nice. Kitty on the Path, short for KP. So I'm like, actually kind of has a nice ring to it. It's simple enough, and it's specific to his origin in our lives. So yeah, that sounds good. We'll call him KP. So this lady tells us about how like he had been outside for, I want to say, she said he had been out there for a couple months at least, or at least, under 8 weeks, something like that. And that he was, fairly social cat with people that would ride on the path, and like a lot of people would stop and pet him, but they had tried to see if he had belonged to anybody. Nobody could really tell. They had asked around to people that live in their neighborhood in cul-de-sac, and nobody knew. They're just like, yeah, we don't know. This is a stray cat. We don't know how he got there. So that gave us some sense of like, okay, like it's probably okay for us then to try to get him. We're not going to be robbing somebody of their cat. So after we had asked around and got these questions, we're like, okay, let's figure this out. How do we do this? Like, what are the logistics of picking up this cat? Because where he was located out on the path, like it's not like you could just, pull over your bike, scoop him up, and then hold him in a bicycle, back to where we live. That just wasn't gonna work. So what we ended up doing was we ended up taking my car, and we ended up parking, I think, in one of the streets in the residential areas, and then just going over to the path by foot, because we figure, hey, if we can get him, then we can get him to the car. And go from there. Now, if my memory serves me right, and my wife can correct me if I'm wrong on this, I believe there were 3 attempts to get KP, and the third one was the successful one to get him. I might be wrong. There might be one more that I'm forgetting on there. As my memory goes, the first time we tried to do it, it was a failure, because we had like a cat kennel, and my wife, I think, this is right. So my wife, she found him, and she kind of coaxed him, and like I said, he's a friendly cat, so he came up to her pretty much right away. But then, if my memory is right, once he saw the kennel, once he saw me with the kennel, I think he knew what was up and was just like, oh hell no, and he, I think, kind of freaked out in my wife's arms, and she lost him, and then he just bolted and got out of there, and we're like, damn it, that didn't work. So that at least taught us hey, we're gonna have to figure out a different way for the kennel, because he sees that he's gonna know I'm being imprisoned or something bad might happen to me. So the second attempt, I recall, we kept I'm trying to think how we did this. So we kept the kennel, we didn't try to carry the kennel. We put it on the side of the trail, and then my wife had a towel, I think, and we tried to go get him. But then, similar to the first, he got spooked, and he kind of went up into this heavy brush of woods. I remember myself to go into it and tried to collect him, but I lost him. I remember I was going around. I mean, it was pretty rough, bush, I guess, or just terrain. It was a very steep incline where it was at, and there was quite a bit of stuff. More than likely could have been poison oak or poison ivy or something or another. And we're just okay, this isn't the day. It's not gonna work. And now I'm remembering that there were 4 attempts, because on the third attempt, I believe we went there, we were looking for him, but then it started to rain, and he probably was just preserving himself, but he didn't come out. And we're just like, okay, like he is not here. So then I remember after 3 tries, we were getting, a little discouraged, and we're like, maybe this just isn't meant to be. And I do remember before we came out for our last time that both my wife and I, we made a promise. We're like, okay, if we don't spot him this time, we're not able to have luck. Like if we do not basically get him this time, we're not going to get him at all, and we're going to let this go. And she agreed, and so we went about it. But of course, on this try it worked, and we did get him. Now I remember how it worked was Isola had a towel, and she got him. And I still remember it was very funny because she had him wrapped in the towel, and I think she was almost like, go, 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 like I got him, like get to the car, because I didn't even actually bring the kennel with me. She just had him wrapped in a towel, and the kennel was in the car. So, but we had to hoof it a little bit to the car with him and get him into the car. We figure, hey, like once we get him in the car, getting them in the kennel, that'll be another problem, but he can't go anywhere once he's in the car. But yeah, she scooped him up. We made a mad dash to the car, and then we got him in, and then bam, KP. He came into our lives. Now I remember after that, like the first night that we had him in our condo, it's unsurprising. I mean, like to him, we're probably just people that abducted him. I'm not sure he knew. He's like, these people could be psychos. Maybe they're not going to love me. I don't know. He hid in our condo, I think, for like 2 days. And then, eventually he started to come out. Clarice, being how she was like a little definitely suspect of another cat being in her, her realm. She had been a single cat for a long time, and it's like, hey, what the hell? You brought somebody else. But eventually they warmed up to each other. And then, and so then after a couple of days, he came out, and, he's been an amazing cat. He really has been an amazing cat. To describe KP's personality, because he has a lot of personality compared to Clarice. He is very vocal, as my wife and I like to say. He has a very loud, not aggressive, but just a loud meow. It's like, wow, wow. And he does this thing like with his head where like if you say his name in the right way, he kind of jerks his head up like that when he meows, and it's very cute. But he's very friendly, very sociable, loves to cuddle with people, loves pets, loves attention. I mean, he's a very happy, healthy cat. He is honestly like one of the best pets that I've been around, one of the best cats I've had. The last cat that I'll talk about in the video, they are unfortunately not with us anymore, but I'd be remiss if I'm making a video about cats and I don't talk about him. So I will save that for the end. He gives this cat that I'm not bringing up yet a run for its money as far as just being an amazing pet. KP is great. Like he is really, really an amazing cat. Him and Clarice, they like to play. That's always amusing. We sometimes like my wife and I will say like they have like a battle or a war, because like we'll see them like just roll around almost like a cartoon fight, and like all this hair goes flying from both of them. But then of course, as soon as they're done doing that, they will, they'll sit with each other. They get along well, they like to play, and I think it's just nice that they can keep each other company while we're both gone working, doing what we do throughout the day. That's pretty much an overview on KP and Clarice. Love them both. Hope that they live both long, happy lives. Now I'm going to talk about the final cat, save the best for last, so to speak. The last cat. The last cat is, for me, the one and only Waffles. Waffles was my cat when I was 13 years old, is when I got him. He lived, I want to say he made it to like 18 or 19 years old, so he really was with me for a large chunk of my life. My mom gave him to me as a little farm cat. She knew somebody that had a litter of cats, and I remember I went to the farm, actually, where he came from, and I picked him out. I don't think we could bring him home right away yet because he was under the age where it's appropriate to do that, but we pretty much got him as soon as we were able to. And we took him home with me, and he was my cat. And I get emotional a little bit when I think about Waffles, because I mean, I still miss him a lot. That's the funny thing about pets and in general. Depending on the nature and the type of pet that you have, I mean, they can certainly be part of a family. And Waffles really was a true family member. I actually have a video. I could maybe try to splice in some of it, or maybe see about including it somewhere in some form or fashion on this channel or elsewhere. But when he passed away, I put together a compilation video just trying to celebrate his life and what he gave us. Yeah, I miss that cat tremendously. He was extremely friendly. I mean, just fantastic. He was an indoor-outdoor cat too, but he would always come back. He'd even go out in the winter, which I always found amusing. I have so many stories with him. I mean, this would be a long video, a really long video, if I chose to dive into all the stories that I have about Waffles. Some quick highlights that I can share about him. Because of him being an indoor-outdoor cat, there were times where like my little brother and I would like go outside and get the mail, and he'd come and follow us, get the mail and come back. I always thought that was sweet. He had a really good reputation in the neighborhood where a lot of the neighbors knew him, and even like some of their kids, neighbors' kids knew him because he was a friendly cat, and he would let people pet him, but people knew. They're like, he's Jordan's cat. He's belongs to them. So no one ever tried to take him. Yeah, so he had a very good reputation with people in the neighborhood. Everybody knew him. There's times where he brought us gifts. That's the polite way of saying him hunting animals and bringing them to us. There was one really good story I have with a bird, but I'll maybe have to share that in another video. He was just truly a great cat, great lap cat. I mean, my mom, I know when all of us boys moved out of the house, he really kept her company and kept her warm, and my mom still has very strong affections and feelings for him as well. My wife also. I'll share this story because it is a good one, and this was towards the end of his days, but it's a special story, and I think you'll get some appreciation out of it. So when Isola came into my life, it was 2019, and he was already pretty old at that point, but still very sweet with Isola. Even in his old age, like I have some pride about this, but like he would still be a playful cat. Like he'd almost like get like a kitten sometimes when you play with him, even being old. And sometimes that doesn't happen. Like older cats get kind of crotchety, like people, they're like, I don't have the energy or stamina to play like I used to. But my wife got to know him for the last stretch of his life. And I remember this distinctly because my wife, she had to go back to Brazil at the end of 2019 to finish out her doctorate, her PhD. She had to go back to Brazil, and she was gone for like two years and some change. And during that time, Waffles' health started to get worse, and he was in literally like his final days of life. And my wife was able to immigrate back to the States in February of 2022. And this is the part where it's just like, it's just so special to me. But like, my wife and I, we had maintained a long distance relationship in that time. So I kept her up to speed on Waffles and everything. And she would always ask about him. I was concerned that he was not going to be around by the time she got back because of his health and just him being old and so on. But I swear, I think it was like a gift from God or something, because, when she got back, she was able to be reunited with him, and it was almost like a little bit of like life like came back to him, because I felt like he actually remembered my wife. When you talk about stories like this, just real quick, it's hard to tell how much is like your emotions are feeding the story versus like what is actually like a preordained or destined thing. If you get into like that spiritual stuff, I don't know, but I think about this. I think about this sometimes in a special way, because I just think that there's some higher power of some kind, perhaps it is God, I think kept Waffles alive to have this happen, because it really, I think, was like maybe within like 2 weeks of my wife being back that he passed away. But we like to say that he held out long enough so that he could say goodbye to my wife. And my wife was there with us on the day that we had to take him to the vet, to have him he had to be put down. I mean, I don't know if he had to be, but he was at that point where it's just like, he's ready to go. That is something I can say about cats. and pets in general, that is probably one of the hardest things is when they go. Not trying to end this video on a sad note or anything, because I really think pets can bring so much joy and happiness into your life, and cats especially. Yeah, if you ever are in a situation where you're having to do that, it's emotional. I mean, I'm not going to pretend. I bawled my eyes out when that happened. I mean, I was with my mom and my brothers, and yeah, and we weren't married we weren't married at the time, but yeah, my wife was with me, and yeah, you better believe it. You better believe that I bawled my eyes out, because he had been in my life for such a long time, and I knew that he was a special cat. I really don't think I'm ever going to find another cat that's like him. That's partly also what makes him so special, or any pets, any cats really special, is that they're all distinct and different from one another. Yeah, if you get to that point where you have to say goodbye to your friend, I mean, he's more than a friend though, he is a member of the family, it's losing a person in the family. It was awful. I mean, like I was so sad about it, but at the same time, I mean, he lived a very full and I think happy life for his sake. And like I said, I got so many good stories. I mean, I really should just probably make a whole dedicated Waffles video, because I really do have some good stories that I could share about him that you all would probably find interesting. Yeah, Waffles is great, and that's something else yeah, you know what? I'll grab it for the video. Give me a second. All right. Now, I don't know what you'll all think of this. I'm sure people have various opinions on this. You're free to have yours, of course. But here he is. This is literally Waffles. I mean, that's what he looked like if I didn't already place him in the video. But I have his remains right here. I wanted to have him cremated and keep him in my life, because he really truly meant so much to not just me, but to my family. And I want him with me always. Like, I really do. And so we made the decision to do that. And so he is here. He stays with us. And he'll always be with us. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I didn't want to like bury him, but I wanted to keep him around. So I did that. And this is a really old picture that we took of him back when he was, this was when he was healthier in his prime, but it's just I don't think there's enough words. I mean, I know I just said I could make a separate video about Waffles, but there's not enough words to describe how much he meant to me, and miss him still to this day. So Waffles, you're out there in kitty heaven, so cheers to you, buddy. I love you. I'll see you someday. So, covered quite a bit in this Out in the Open on Cats. I mean, I knew I was gonna go in a lot of different places with it, talking about my own cats, some experience, perspective, stories, etc. But that's the point of this whole thing, is just being true and open with my thoughts on this. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear from you all. Do you own a cat? Do you have cats? Do you have dogs? Do you have both? Do you have something else? Lizards? I don't know. People have a lot of different types of pets. But I would certainly love to know what your thoughts are on your pets are. I always think it's interesting to hear about people's pets, the different stories they have, how they raise them, train them, breed them, blah, 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 blah. But you get my point. If you have any thoughts on any of that stuff, please go ahead and put it in the comments of this video. I would greatly appreciate that. And now I'll just give some final wrap-up thoughts on cats, and we'll call this Out in the Open good. Cats. You know, I think sometimes they can get a bad rap. I mean, sometimes people will prefer dogs over cats. I don't think it's really a contest like that. I think both those breeds and animals, species, are completely different in their own rights. So pros and cons to both. Pros for cats, what I can tell you is that they're pretty self-sufficient. They don't really need you that much. So if you're not maybe too emotionally needy or that bothers you, that could be something. But I think if you're wanting to have some freedom and you're like, I need to be gone for an afternoon or even a couple of days, you can get by and do that with cats. Just leave them enough food, leave them enough water, make sure they have a place to do their business, or have somebody check in on them. You can certainly have people cat sit, that is definitely a thing. But they don't need as much care or supervision as dogs do. Maybe things that aren't great about them, I mean, sometimes cats can throw up. I mean, dogs, of course, can do this too, but KP, for instance, him being a longer-haired cat, he certainly has his moments where it's just, if you have a cat, you know what this is, the and you start to hear that noise and you're like, oh God, oh God, oh God, where's it at, where's it at, where's it at? I only have a little bit of time to get into a throw-up zone. And when I say a throw-up zone, I mean hopefully some hard type of surface, not carpet, because that is something that really does suck, is having to clean cat barf off of carpet. There's wet vacs, there's sprays, there's all kinds of stuff, but it just does suck and it's kind of nasty. But I mean, in general, if you have a pet that has a mouth and eats, it's possible it could puke. So that's not entirely uncommon. Aside from that though, I mean, I really love having pets, love having cats. I would like to get a dog eventually to accompany the cats. Cats are great. I mean, Waffles, I've had him in my life, but there were cats in my life before that. There was the earliest ones I remember was Sammy and Pumpkin. Yeah, cats have been in my life pretty much as far as I can remember, and hopefully they'll continue to be. I like them, I love them, and they're great. So there you have it. That's a little bit about my life around cats and my cats in general, so hopefully you like them. You tell me which one you also, I don't know, do you want to rank them? Is that appropriate? Rank my cats? You like Clarice or KP better? I don't know. Maybe that's not nice or fair to them. They're both great. Tell me your thoughts on cats, and also let me know what else you would like me to be out in the open about. I'm kind of just going about these videos with what I'm feeling inspired by or what I'm feeling compelled to talk about, and today it was cats. So there you go. Thank you all so much for watching, listening. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already done that. And I will catch you all in the next Out in the Open. So until then, be good to cats. And I don't know, adopt them too. There's a lot of them that need a good home. So do that. Okay, goodbye. One quick thing. This is a post, as they would say in movies, after credits scene. Forgot to mention this about the cats in general, but if you were to go through my phone, you would see that I have a fair amount of pictures and videos of my cats. So I wish I could tell you that I take more exciting footage. Sometimes I do, but yeah, in general, a lot of the photos and videos that I have are of cats. So not a little surprising, and maybe I interlace some of those in the video at this point. Not really sure, but I just wanted to make sure that I put that out there, that I do take quite a bit of photos and videos of my cats. So, woo! Okay, yeah, now, thanks for watching this part. Go live your life. Thank you.